Hello everyone, my name is Jerem Burrell, and this is my presentation on web accessibility for people with disabilities. I chose this subject because of my high functioning autism, and I've always heard about this kind of stuff, and I was kind of interested in what it detailed. And I hope for those of you who are watching this that you will also be interested in it. In this presentation, I will define in what web accessibility basically is the types of disability, or at least the main types of disability that would apply for this kind of thing, and what accommodations the world has applied for each of these main disabilities. There's also some links if you really want them. Web accessibility just basically means websites, tools, and technologies that are designed and developed so people with disabilities can use them. Basically, it just means a person that, say, is blind can access a article or something like a normal person would and be able to gain information from it, just in a different way. And I'll explain that later. So in short, web accessibility just basically stands for people who need help on accessing the internet. This is what it basically is. Disability types fall under 5 main categories. Visual, which usually stands for poor vision, blindness, color blindness, and other types of vision and disabilities. These just basically stand for stuff that are wrong with your eyes. Like like wearing glasses, or unable to see anything, or unable to see certain colors. Auditory is hearing loss or deafness. Basically, you have trouble hearing, or you can't hear at all without some sort of device or anything else to help you hear. Motor is physical disabilities like spinal or muscle decay / disease, or if you just have a hard time moving your body around. And yeah, if you just can't move around, that's basically a motor disability. Cognitive is a little bit harder to define. It basically means traumatic brain injuries or genetic disorders. Basically, if you can't really process information very well, that falls under cognitive. Or genetic disorders tend to mean, well, not to butter or anything up, but the person probably with the latter, or though with genetic disorders, probably won't live for super long, if I want to be honest. Seizures are basically things that are caused by strobing, flickering, or flashing effects. Basically, if you see a lot of flashing lights, it's happened in a very short time frame, and you start to freeze up, then that's a seizure. And while I've never had a seizure, I hear that's tons of fun. Not really. Now, visual accessibility tends to have a few things. One is a screen reader, which means if you're blind, you can use this screen reader to read the article for you. Like if you're trying to find out what's going on in the news. If you have a hard time with seeing the mouse, sometimes you can use an alternative mouse or keyboard if you have a hard time with hand-eye coordination. And if you're the one trying to make a website for people with visual disabilities, don't make it super complicated. Make it very clear and easy to read, or at least make it possible for people to read it. Auditory, auditory, as I said before, is basically being deaf. Just simply add a transcript or a caption to help people along. That's literally all you have to do with people that have hard of hearing or deafness. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just if you have a video or a podcast, write it out. Or like, I don't know, print out your script or something. Now, more accessibility. Oh boy, that's a lot of stuff. Now, a mouse stick and a head wand are basically a giant mouse, but something that and you tend to use your mouth or your head if you can't really use your hand, but you can still move your head around or your mouth. A single switch access is more or less just a big button that will help you access things. An oversized trackball mouse is just basically a humongous version of a normal mouse, which is ironically the only tool that people even without disabilities will probably use because, well, it's a giant ball with a bunch of the same buttons that a mouse almost normally has. So some people probably will use the oversized trackball mouse. Adaptive keyboard to help them be able to understand. And if they can't do any more or skills, but they can speak fine, voice recognition software is always available. Now, cognitive accessibility. This is a little bit harder to really define, as I could not find any simple, easy things. If they are, if they have cognitive disabilities, you try to just try to make it easy to access for people with those disabilities. There's no like clear-cut solution into this unless they have something from the other disabilities, in which case just use that, especially the motor accessibilities. Those are a lot. There are a lot of options to help with that. Seizure accessibility. According to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines outline, they basically tell you don't make everything really flashy. Don't like make every single screen require 20,000 flashes every 5 seconds. Just for the sake of things, don't do that. If you were watching a video that says it has seizure inducing flashes, just get away from it. Just get away from it. In conclusion, the internet is a big place, and while I have not been able to find every single thing being disability accessible, it's becoming slowly more and more accessible to people with disabilities like these. So, in a way, people are becoming more and more aware of these people with disabilities. I've seen entire YouTube channels dedicated to making things more accessible for these kinds of things. And I'm happy for that. So I feel very happy that people are slowly doing this, although I wish it was faster for the sake of people. And for those of you who want to know more, I have a bunch of links and references that I use while doing this. Just go on to webaim.org for web accessibility e-articles, as you can see right here. The reason why I have two cognitive ones is because I had a hard time in figuring out what to do with cognitive. That disability is very hard to define with web access. But thank you so much for listening, and hope you all have a good day.